Welcome back to the channel, citizens. Today we're taking a look at one of the most complex and lucrative new contracts currently in the PTU, but soon headed to live with 4.4, the new Vanduul-Tech Smuggler missions. This guide will walk you through the multi-step process to complete this mission, from acceptance to final data turn-in to intersect. Let's get into it. But before we jump into the step-by-step details, a quick and crucial warning. Since this guide is based off the 4.4 PTU, details could change, but it's likely they will largely remain the same. If by some chance something major changes between the PTU and live, I'll be sure to provide an update covering that also. And just a heads up before we get into the full details as well, this isn't a full loot guide for these locations. That will be coming as a separate video at a later date once the loot is finalized for live, as things do appear to still be changing. Also, do be aware that in the current PTU version, the Nix, Levski, and QV stations will be visiting are a bit buggy still, and can occasionally experience server errors amongst other things. If you hit major issues, my best advice is to take a short break and come back later. Or maybe even just consider waiting until it hits live. Now, let's get into those full mission details. First things first, the mission's going to start at the new QV stations, which are part of the new Welcome to Nix content. But in order to reach one of these locations and get started, you'll want to start doing mercenary missions first. In this case, you're going to want to stick to the intersect security provider missions. Currently, the best missions to grind for efficient reputation gain with intersect are going to be the terrorist neutralization missions and doing the seeking experienced combat pilot missions in between. These missions will largely be ship combat, so you'll want a combat-capable ship like a Gladius, F7, F8, or Corsair. Simply keep working these missions until the Vanduul-Tech Smuggler missions appear in your contracts. These will appear under the Investigation tab. The exact requirements have been changing periodically, but based on what we've seen, it seems like you're going to have to hit Applicant or Junior Contractor based on the current changes. Once you see the mission, go ahead and grab it, but before you head in, make sure you're fully equipped and ready for it. I'd recommend wearing a heavy or medium armor set and bring a medium or large backpack with plenty of med pins and med gel for your medical ship. Also be sure to come fully equipped with weapons if you're choosing. I'd recommend the pulverizer, which can be bought alongside its ammo at the Levski location. Most importantly, bring a ship with medical beds. I can't emphasize this enough. CIG have recently given the QV stations an exterior entrance at the landing pad. You can bring any ship, large or small, to the mission now. But given it's a longer mission that'll take some time and involves ship-to-ship combat, I'd recommend bringing the biggest medical ship you can. If you have a capital class ship or something like the Starlancer TAC or RSI Apollo, it can make things way easier. However, if you don't have access to anything like that, even a Cutlass Red or Terrapin Medic can work fine here, but you'll either have to have some combat support or make use of the environment, which I'll cover. Also, do be sure to bring some extra med gel with these ships specifically. Now you should be prepared to head to the mission marker. Once you arrive and drop out of Quantum, you'll be met with hostile Vanduul fighters. Instead of fighting them directly, simply fly under the massive QV station structure and park your ship into the hiding spot I'm showing here. I'd recommend doing this if you're in a smaller ship like the Cutlass Red or Medical Terrapin, or have something less combat capable like the Apollo. From here, if you simply wait, the Vanduul fighters will typically crash directly into the station while attempting to target you, clearing them from the area. Once Intersect confirms the fighters are destroyed, you can request a hangar and land, or do the following alternatively. If you brought a larger ship, it won't accept. This will be particularly useful for ships like the Idris, Polaris, or even the RSI Apollo. If you're met with no response from the hangar, you can enter the facility via the landing pad or right next to the Polaris that's docked at the location. The mission will move past the hangar request once you enter the atrium. From here, your first goal is to reach the security room, which will lock down as soon as you enter the space. It contains key items and facilities needed for the mission to progress, so we're going to have to override the lockdown. To reach the atrium in the security room, take the elevator from the hangar or pad to the entrance and proceed forward into the main atrium, which will just be directly ahead from here. You'll know when you hit the right area, as it features a massive Vanduul boarding ship bursting through the ground, surrounded by burning rubble. To initiate that override, proceed up the stairs to your right. However, be warned, enemies will be everywhere along the way, and then take a right at the top of the stairs. Just keep going forward, you'll come to a maintenance tunnel, and then ultimately a dead end with 2 rooms. In the back, leftmost room, flip the small switch on the wall, make sure it turns green. This will cancel out the security lockdown and opens multiple doors downstairs, including the door to the security room. Carefully head back down the stairs, as you'll likely hit enemy resistance. Once you reach the bottom of the stairs, the door to your immediate right should now be open. This is the security room. Be warned, however, do not run straight in. This space is usually packed with enemies. You're going to want to take your time and carefully peek and shoot around that doorway, backing off the hill when necessary. Once cleared, you'll find the boom tube rocket launcher on the gun rack at the back of this room, alongside 3 extra units of ammo. This rack also normally contains a pulverizer or a kill shot rifle as well, so you can get those new CitizenCon pack weapons here for free. From here, you need to go to the computer terminal in the central area of the room across from the boom tube. There should have been an enemy with a Vanduul skull helmet you killed as well. Go ahead and interact with his body. The first interaction will prompt data to be uploaded to your mobi-glass. The second will allow you to loot like normal. On the enemy is an encryption key, and this sets the precedent of what you'll be doing around the QV station and its exterior locations. In each of these areas you'll be visiting, you'll be tasked with finding an enemy with a Vanduul helmet and collecting the data and encryption key off each and every one of them. You will then need to bring these items back to the terminal to upload the data by hitting the terminal screen again and then inserting the encryption key in the yellow slot at the front of the terminal, which only opens after uploading the data. Be warned, however, if you die you will drop any of the encryption keys in your personal inventory, but will retain the data, and you will have to go recover the keys. I would advise turning them in as soon as possible after finding them, as it will save your progress and prevent some potential difficulties. Once you submit that first set of data and the encryption key, you should have updated objectives. You'll be visiting the cargo decks A and B, the locally docked Polaris I mentioned earlier, and finally an exterior facility located just outside the QV station. But before you leave this area, go ahead and grab the passcode disk, which looks like those Hathor keys from the previous updates, and stick it in the server rack just next to the computer terminal. Take it back once it's ejected. This will be needed for later. You're essentially building a key to cargo deck C. But from here, go to cargo deck B, which is right next to the security room. Main advice I can give you here is just take your time and sweep the area, shooting any NPCs you see. Be warned, these cargo decks do feature manned Gatling turrets that can be extremely lethal if you expose yourself or remain out in the open. So make sure to hug the abundant cover provided by these areas. One NPC should be marked with a yellow marker to collect intel once he's down, but if for whatever reason this doesn't populate, which can happen, simply look for an NPC wearing that Vanduul skull helmet. But in the odd chance that neither option works, you'll likely have to move on to another facility and instance of the mission, as I have run into an occasional issue where the target with the data and encryption key do not spawn for whatever reason. Do the same thing as last time, interact with the body, causing the data to upload to your Mobi, and then grab the encryption key off the body. It's important to note you have to grab both items every single time. You have to have both, you can't have just one. Once you have everything, return to the atrium terminal to turn them in. Now from here, you'll have to repeat this process in the cargo deck A. Cargo deck A should play out similarly to deck B, however be aware deck A has catwalks up above the cargo deck that contain enemies as well, and that can make this area a bit more difficult than B was. In my personal experience, it seems like the intel target will typically spawn up in the catwalks. Once you collect that data and encryption key, head back out to the atrium terminal once more and turn them in. From here, you're going to want to head back out to your ship hangar or the landing pad and make your way over to the Polaris linked to the QV station. You're going to enter the Polaris via the docking port on the side opposite of where it's actually docked to the collar. Simply enter on foot and proceed with caution, as the interior will be populated with an abundance of enemies. You're going to need to simply fight your way through the ship, specifically into the hangar and up to the bridge, in order to collect everything required for the mission here. And then head straight forward until you enter a section with a stairwell going down. From here, take a left and enter the large hangar door opposite of the elevator you should see on your right. The center hangar area usually has a large number of enemies, so make sure to peek around corners and take your time. And just continue sweeping this area until you find the Vanduul helmet wearing NPC and loot the data and encryption key once more. I found that in the current PTU, he normally spawns near the hangar location, however he tends to wander a bit, so it's possible you'll have to keep pushing forward towards the bridge, which will have you cutting straight through the Polaris hangar. Just basically keep moving forward. Also, while you're in the hangar, go ahead and take that passcode disk from earlier and insert it into the server rack near the Drake cutter in the hangar, and then reclaim it once it's ejected. If you want to check the status of the disk, simply inspect it. As it does show the percentage of completion directly on the disk itself, it'll represent the 3 steps as a percentage. So at this point, you should be at 66%. Once you've completed these described steps, it's time to head to the exterior facility, which is a nearby rock that has a structure built into it. Look for the rock with the long antenna-looking structure jutting from it. Once you arrive, attempt to use this normal airlock door, and you'll be told that you need a QV airlock access keycard to enter the facility. To find this keycard, you need to go to the QV derelict crash sites nearby that should be marked with a yellow marker. There's 3 of them labeled with A, B, and C. Be prepared, however, these derelicts are protected by Vanduul fighters that'll quantum jump in once you arrive at each site. You'll need to be prepared to deal with approximately 3 fighters per site, one way or another. If need be, you can repeat the earlier process of flying under the QV station. They'll typically follow you and fly into the station. Simply visit each site until you find a yellow marker on a floating body, grab the keycard off of it, and return to the airlock door. Once you enter the exterior facility, you'll pass Vanduul boarding vessels again, but from here just keep pushing forward until you can take a left, do this, and enter the hallway on the leftmost wall and make your way into the bathroom. Grab the fuse at the back of the space and then head back out to that main hall. And from here, just keep pushing forward. You'll come to a damaged airlock door, surrounded by downed Vanduul. Clear the room on the other side before jumping over that door to enter the space. It's also important to note the bar on the far opposite side of that room that you're looking into is filled with enemies that are likely to present themselves. A few are likely to show up behind the damaged pipe that's shooting out fire. From here, take the fuse you grabbed from that bathroom and use it by jumping through the window into the room with the metal bar door that's right next to the security office. Once in, grab the 4-number code from the laptop found in one of the emails and take that code back to the door shown here that's across from the bathroom we visited earlier for the fuse. Enter the room, and the final data and encryption key are on the NPC pinned against the wall with a Vanduul spear. Do, however, note there's yet another weapon rack here with a chance to loot a boom tube and other CitizenCon weapons. Also, before leaving, be sure to enter that passcode disk into the server rack here as well. This should complete the passcode disk. With the final data and key in hand, return to the main QV Station terminal, turn in the final data and encryption key. This will wrap up the mission and leave you with the final option of visiting Cargo Deck C. From here, make sure your disk shows 100%, which it should if you insert it into the server racks in the security room in the QV Station, the Polaris server rack, and finally that external facility server rack we just visited. Simply enter the disk in the slot next to the Cargo Deck C door, which will open the elevator and give you access to a loot cache including ship components, weapons, more armor boxes, Vanduul capsules, and more. The mission also does provide a direct reward of 50 guild script, which may or may not be the intended final reward. And this brings us to the end of the line for the Vanduul-Tech Smugglers Mission. If this comprehensive guide helped you conquer the QV Station, infiltrate the Polaris, and secure the final Cargo Deck C loot, then please consider hitting that like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth Star Citizen guides and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on my next videos. And finally, if you know any fellow citizens who are struggling with this contract, feel free to share this video with them. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.